Welcome to the Next Level 5-Minute Image Critique. Thanks so much for joining me today. My name is Alec Johnson. Let's go ahead and get started. Today's image is provided by Pam. Pam was a workshop participant last year on the North Shore of Lake Superior with us. So Pam, thank you so much for submitting this image, which I believe was shot as part of a high school senior portrait project. So let's go ahead and get started with a number of things that Pam did here that are working really well. First, I love her placement of the subject relative to the background. With a moderate aperture setting, the fall off of depth of field is working really well to allow our key subject to come forward sharp and allow our background to fall off and be soft. And this just really gives a great context to the image while maintaining what we need to as a key subject. The second thing I think is really nice is a choice of lighting conditions, which is very flattering on him, and in general is just it's a really soft, beautiful, low contrast light, and so we don't get a lot of contrast in the background. We're not getting too much contrast on the face, and so it really just allows us a very easy and pleasant view of the image, and again also is allowing our subject matter to come forward. Third thing I'm enjoying about the image is the overall pose, and so we have to be really careful with different subject matter, how we pose people. In this case, a couple of things are working really well. The shoulders are moving from near to far. There's a slight diagonal to them, and that's great. And as well, the head is turned just a little bit this way so that we're seeing a little more mask over here than we are over here. Certainly that could have gone further, but this all does a couple of things for us. One, this is a very open and welcoming pose, and so if you can imagine, if his shoulders were absolutely squared up to the camera along with his face, that is generally perceived by most people as a very threatening, if not defensive or aggressive body position. And so in this case, she's posed him really well, and in a way that you can tell with this great smile that she captured here on him. Very nice kid, very approachable, and the overall body positioning is working with that. So I think she did a really nice job with that as well. I want to get on now to talk about some of the things I might want to think about the next time I go out there, and these are little things, but they're great in this image to illustrate how difficult it is to actually shoot a really good portrait. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to go into Photoshop here just to illustrate these things and turn on a layer where I did some cloning. There were some things in the background here that were really distracting me. That could have been controlled, cleaned up the shirt a little bit. These all could have been controlled in the field, and so I just want to turn a layer on where I've taken all that out. You can definitely see it improves how we slow down and are able to stay with him as a subject matter a little bit better. And then the next thing I want to talk about is lighting. While I really love the soft light, and I'm not sure if Pam used a flash here. I definitely would have if she didn't. I get the feeling maybe she did. I see catch lights in his eyes. Some sort of flash here. A little trick I learned from a great photographer and good friend, Brian Allen. I love shooting these kind of lighting conditions in aperture priority mode with the camera, and then set the exposure compensation in aperture priority a -2/3 of a stop. Then on my flash, in automatic ETTL mode, I set the flash compensation only a -1/3, and that can generate some really great soft light while allowing darkening the background but keeping an appropriate amount of light on your subject matter. I'm going to turn on 2 layers here where I've tried to demonstrate how that might have looked if we'd shot it that way in the field. The first layer is a selective color layer where I darken the reds and the yellows in the background, and then an overall curves adjustment layer to bring out more contrast before, after, and bring our subject more forward in the image. The last 2 things I did is I definitely am sensing a little bit of a color cast here, a little bit of a red-yellow color cast. There might even be a little magenta in there, and so I cleaned up the shirt just a little bit. It's not a significant change to the image, but just cleaned her up and lightened it a little bit. And then I made an adjustment in color balance to the reds and the yellows to try to pull out some of that color cast. And I don't think I quite have it the way I want it yet, but it's moving in the right direction. So I'm going to show you before, where we started, and after. You can see how our subject matter really moves forward in the image then. And so these are little things. This is a great image, a great start by Pam, and I want to thank her for submitting this image for our image critique. Talk to you soon. Curiosity, kid, doesn't have to mean you're on